Hi guys, welcome back to the Spillway. After a long trip, we're back. My name is Zach,
I am Aaron.
and we are going to be your hosts today. So, today's topic of discussion is going to be, why do men, especially nowadays, think about the fall of Rome almost on a daily basis? If not, multiple times a day.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like Rome was the center of the world.
So, Rome, and we're going to say a lot of things, probably misquote some stuff, double check your history books, double check us on everything, because we're going to get very cursory about it. Nothing's going to be hard set, and don't take our word as law. But before we get down this rabbit hole, we're going to address, I hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas.
Yes.
Hope you guys had a great New Year's. Hope everybody had wonderful things happen for them. Got to spend time with family and togetherness. I know I did. A lot of togetherness. Too much togetherness.
A lot of downtime.
Yeah.
That's a gift
Downtime
in
was good.
itself.
A break. Reset. It was a nice reset this year. With all that being said, you know, we do apologize for not getting that video sooner. Timelines and schedules with the holidays didn't match up going into them. We're going to try to be more consistent going forward. But, you know, when ultimate push comes to shove, we do this for fun.
It was something kind of wild with Christmas that happened. I went up and saw my folks, and I ran into an old student of mine.
There you go.
And coached him in football and whatnot. And he's a pretty courageous kid. He'd been through a lot. And he was when he was, I think, a freshman in high school or in 8th grade. He had a cancer diagnosis.
Good Lord.
Oh yeah, and
Kids been through it.
the whole thing, and it was come out, and it's kind of sad. But boy, the kid just
Rebounded.
super
for
grateful,
him.
got through it. Saw him the other day and asked him, or when I was up there seeing my folks, and I said, "What did you get for Christmas?" And he said, "You know, I didn't get anything for Christmas. I already got all that I need." And I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, "Give me a hug, you beautiful human."
There's a good outlook. It's, listen, having kids, you know, growing up, becoming a father, things like that. Christmas has always been Halloween and Christmas are my two favorite times of year. Always have been. Just end of the year. Any time from October to January is my favorite time of year. And I have only cemented that more as I've gotten older because it's tradition. It's special. It's, you know, it's not about gifts. It's not about, I don't like getting gifts. Truly, I've never liked getting gifts. I don't even like getting compliments, but I've never liked getting gifts. I love giving gifts, especially to my kids, having them open them up, Christmas morning and be amazed, and there's still wonder in their eyes, and just the tradition of being together and traditional things. And I think it's important. A lot of people, you know, piss and moan, especially nowadays. You know, Christmas is too commercialized, or Christmas. Yeah, to a point. But if you only see that, then that's all you're going to see. If you only see the negative, that's all you see.
Right. Well, it's kind of what you make it.
Yeah.
You know? And it doesn't have to be some big, giant, blown out thing.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, you can have a nice, peaceful holiday and keep it low key. You know.
And just have, you know, make food at home.
Right.
Be together. And I think those those values are being overshadowed by the voices of, you know, Christmas is this, Christmas is that. It's like, stop looking for the negative. Appreciate the positive of what it is. And take it for what it is.
Right.
You don't need to, if you look for negative, you'll find it anywhere.
Right.
But if you look for positive, you'll also find that.
Right. Well, I think Christmas for some people, it can be a challenging time of the year, you know, and I think even if you find even if that season brings you a tad bit of joy, you know, even if, you know, you've gone through a dark time during Christmas and that can bring up bad memories, you know,
I think we've gone over this where you can choose to be a miserable person or you can choose to be a positive person. It's a choice.
Yeah.
But we wanted to address that real quick, guys. Welcome back. Moving forward, we got some cool things planned for the year, cool topics.
We do.
Probably production value is going to increase eventually. We're going to launch a second channel in the coming months, hopefully, if we can get it on time. We're going to launch a channel that is dedicated to movie reviews and TV shows. So a little bit more meta, a little bit more accessible, a little bit less theory and thought like we have in philosophy, and a lot more dumb, goofy stuff.
Just a couple of objective fellas over here nitpicking.
Yeah. Talking about subjective material.
like season 5 of Stranger Things.
Oh, don't even get me started.
Dude.
I'm
What is?
So preview. We're going to do a preview real quick. We're going to touch on this, and then we'll get back to our normal day.
We will.
What did they do? I was so excited for Stranger Things
Me
season
too.
5, and the first 4 episodes were great.
Yeah, they were fine.
The first 4 episodes
Yeah.
were fantastic.
They
The rest of it, I'm sorry. First off, no one dies.
no.
Sorry, spoilers. We're going to spoil it.
Yeah.
So cut off here. You know, if you're not, haven't watched it yet, but if you haven't, you know, I don't know what rock you've been living under. But no one dies, so there's no consequence.
No.
None.
None.
No consequence. A great story has consequence always because life has consequence. Not everybody makes it out.
No.
Only person who dies is a character no one cared about.
Yes.
Why even bring her back then?
Exactly.
Like, what? Seriously? No one dies, so no real consequence. And then the big villains who, the way I rank personally, this is how I rank seasons 1 through 5.
Yeah.
It's season 1, season 4, season 3, season 2, dead last season 5.
See, I think I'm a 1, a 4, and then a 2 and a 3.
Okay, I can see that.
And 5, they can just bury that thing in the lowest level of hell.
Keep
they
the
can
first
find
4 and end it with the attack on the.
They should have just ended it at 4.
They really should have. They should have maybe done one big episode or one big movie to end it, but picked it up not 18 months later,
Yeah.
directly after.
I hate when movies do that. It's like, oh, hey, 5 years have passed, and,
Right.
and all this.
Well,
shit's
and
happening.
what irritates me is I was so excited for Stranger Things because when the Duffer Brothers start, now I don't know what changed between season 1 and season 5, but when Duffer Brothers started, they did season 1 as a self-contained story just in case it didn't get picked up for more. Mm-hmm. But they told everyone that they had a plan from the beginning, from its inception, for 5 seasons, and that it was written out from season 1 to season 5 with a proper
it was
ending.
already done. No.
That was a straight up lie because if you watch the 9th episode that they released, which is the documentary, they started shooting without an ending. They went back on what they said.
They kept saying, oh, it's going to be the greatest thing in the
Yeah,
world. Fans
and
are going to be
it's-
disappointed.
no,
and then there's
it-
like backlash everywhere on
Yeah,
social,
it's
on
like,
Facebook
are you kidding?
and
They pull.
YouTube.
What is it about popular media that can't end a story correctly? Game of Thrones. I don't even. What else? Game of Thrones was a notorious one that did a horrible job. Hi, Daisy. My dog is here. Did a horrible job getting. First off, they had no source material. I at least give them a little credit because they had no source material. They outpaced the books.
I don't like how they don't finish storylines. Why
No,
introduce
don't leave things
a
open-ended.
character if you're not going to finish it?
Right.
I don't.
That's it.
Yeah, I don't understand that garbage. And there's
I don't
there's
either.
like 5 characters. Like, what happened to this person? Well, they just die.
I really thought Steve was going to die. And don't get me wrong, Steve was one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite character. And it would have sucked to see him die, but there would have been consequence.
Oh yeah. Well, it's kind of like in season 4 when Eddie died, and it was
Yeah.
like, that really
Rallied,
built in there
yeah.
and showed how precious life was. And now it's like, and then they do this this epilogue like
Yep.
Lord of the Rings did. And I'm sorry, you're not.
When I got halfway through the last episode and I realized that the big fight and the big bad was over and there was still an hour of it left, I'm like, what is going on? What is going on here?
Dude, you just have a whole army of Demogorgons just totally take down
Daisy?
a whole military fleet.
She's going to hit the
of
camera? Almost.
everything.
Go over here.
And and then they get to the main villain, and there's a bunch of kids fighting him off with garbage can lids. And
Well, and even like, it was a cool concept, right? I don't disagree that the concept was cool, symbiosis and all that stuff. But you built up a character, a big bad, right? That allegedly was there from the beginning, which I can buy that. I can buy that, right? The way they filmed it in 4, I can buy that he was there from the beginning, okay? What I can't buy is 4 was their Empire Strikes Back, right? They lost. That's what it was. They lost.
yeah.
But 5 hits, and all of a sudden, this big bad that you're building up forever takes 10 minutes of fighting to beat, and
It seemed like they got lazy.
yeah, it was lazy writing, and it was we've gotten
forced.
so big we don't know what to do now.
Yeah. No, and I'm just like, what a. Just bad.
You know what it was? It was
Awful.
Captain Planet. Through the power of friendship, we defeated the big bad. The big bad that literally was murking kids without even physically being there. That was literally controlling and setting up futures and serious. And that guy, the big complicated bad guy of the entire series, who there was always a kernel of the Mind Flayer controlling him, which made sense, and that was good. I liked that they went into that direction. I was like, okay, cool. Is he really controlling him? Is he not? And I liked that they didn't redemption arc him.
Yeah.
Because when they started going down that path, I'm like, if they redemption arc him, they can't. He's unredeemable. He's an unredeemable character because of what he's done.
Right.
Or irredeemable, not irredeemable character. Don't go down. So they touched on it briefly, but then he said, when he said, it has not just been controlling me, I've been controlling him, and I've accepted it. Yeah. I'm like, okay, that was cool. I'm glad they went that direction, and they didn't like, he's good now, he's on our side, he's a good guy. No, he's an evil monster.
Right. It always seems like in a good thriller, like the villain in it, they're they're there, but they're not always being shown.
Right.
It's kind of the mystery of it, how season 1 left off. Like, wow, you still leave the audience to think about the villain and all those things. And here it's like, well, here was our best attempt at throwing this thing together that didn't resemble anything of what the Mind Flayer was in the previous 4 seasons. Right. And, it just...
I mean, I even dug the Dark Tower reference with the Mind Flayer as that thing. Like, it was dark. It was the Dark Tower, is where the Skeksis from the Dark Crystal. Yeah. Not Dark Tower. Dark Crystal. The Dark Crystal. It was where the Skeksis were at. Like, almost 1 for 1. And I even dug that. I was like, that's cool.
It's kind of neat.
I'm down. And then I can even buy it being a monster. I can even buy that. Where were the Demidogs? Where were the Demigorgons that are from this realm?
It's just
where they murk an entire military post, which, by the way, if you know anything about firearms, half the firearms they were rocking should have torn them up due to previous seasons.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't just get an upgrade. They're a static being.
Right. Well, and it's just like, well, what happened to the military? What happened to Susie? What happened to Dr. Owens?
So that's the other
what
thing.
Happened to Argyle?
The secondary big bad, right? Colonel, whoever, General or Colonel, whoever. Sarah Connor.
Yeah.
Sarah Connor's character, the lady who plays Sarah Connor.
Dr. K.
Dr. K, yeah, but General or whatever she was, right?
Nothing.
What happened?
It's just...
What happened? They go through the portal?
Yeah.
And then you never see her again.
You never see her, hear from her again, all this stuff.
And it's like, you're going to tell me that they killed a metric ton of military guys, just the team. And that vindictive lady, who's black ops of some sort, let that go and let them go.
Yeah,
didn't imprison any of them.
Right.
Didn't black site and black bag any of them, which would never happen in real life. You sneeze wrong to the CIA and you're going to get black bagged.
Well, and what happened to the Soviets?
Yeah.
How in the hell did they get all that stuff? How did they dig a tunnel under Indiana?
I can even give them maybe, okay, let the Soviet thing hang out there. Cool. I would have liked to have seen.
Oh, I would have.
But I can accept that loose end.
Yeah.
You're literally loose ending things in the story that you just introduced this season. What the hell?
Yeah, it's stupid.
Not to mention all the other loose end. The loose end you tie up is the sister that no one cared about. Yeah. And her band of misfit children.
Yeah. And
the Misfit Island. You solved that. Yeah. That's what you choose to go for? Are you kidding me?
And then her even role in it was like kind of downplayed and not really much to it.
If it weren't for the previous seasons being so good, I would be less irritated. Yeah. Because I would be like, par for the course. It's a happy-go-lucky show, this, that, the other. But they were so good. The death of, or the pseudo-death of Max was washed clean. Which, don't get me wrong, I think Max should have made it back. I think that was the right choice. Also, shouldn't have taken her 45 minutes of explanation to run. I'm sorry, little girl. You're trapped in a dream world. I've been stuck here for years. Deuces! Like, as soon as that opens up, it's like, good luck, I'll be back for you. And then running the other direction. Instead of, 35 to 40 minutes of explanation while they know Vecna's out looking for him. Right. Henry's out searching for him, and they're in the dream world. But no, let me sit here and have a dissertation with you about how everything's going to be okay. It's... Pat, I'll be back for you. Bye. Yeah. That should have been it. And then just an ass and elbows towards the exit. But no.
Yeah. Well, we talked about
dumb. I was screaming at the TV.
Yeah.
Screaming at the TV, literally.
You know what? In a story like that and how it unfolds, you're not going to survive that. Let's just face it. So someone's going to be
There has to be. There's what is it? What's it called? A section of unbelievable unbelievability, you have to believe in a story
Yes.
like that, right? Because in the real world, they would have all been dead season 1.
Well, and we're just talking about how we want to see the upcoming movie, The Odyssey,
Yeah.
right? And you sit there and you think of Troy,
Yep.
Trojan horses and all that. Achilles died.
Yeah.
He was the greatest human
At that time.
warrior at
Yeah.
that time ever. He had a weakness. He died.
Yeah.
And that's what makes that story
So impactful.
Impactful.
And he died at a place away from his home.
Right.
He died at conquering. He died to conquer.
Yes.
Right. But he was the unkillable man.
And his name will be remembered.
Look at all of
forever.
them. All great leaders and great warriors, if they don't retire, they die a warrior's death. Ragnar Lothbrok, the real one, not the Ragnar Lothbrok, in Viking lore, and an actual real person, died. Objectively, they think somewhere in England, but not 100% sure.
Right.
But died a warrior's death.
Well, and I think that just goes across different cultures and around
Yeah.
the planet too. I mean, look at history of Japan. The shoguns and
it was an honorable death.
samurais. It was an honorable death, even if it was one where you survived and
Right.
you ended your own life with a sword through the midsection.
Sebuka? Is it Sebuka? Sabuko? I don't know.
That
Something like
might be it.
Sebuka, Sabuko.
Sudoku.
No, not Sudoku. That's no, that's wrong.
Death by Sudoku.
That is death.
I can't figure out this damn
Sudoku.
number.
No, I can't figure out Sudoku. That would be death. I would rather die.
Yeah, no, I think you're pretty close there. But the cool thing about the Greeks is they were the precursor to the Romans.
Yeah, and we're going back. We're going to get off of movies. That was a preview. We will.
Gonna be good.
It'll be good. It'll be really good. You guys will probably like that more than this, which whatever. But we're going back to Romans. So, precursor to the Romans. Romans. Greek were around when the Romans were around. Romans were a 1,000-year empire, roughly. The only empire that I know of, and historically that outweighs them longevity-wise, is Chinese, which is 4,000 years now?
Conquered.
Something like that. But Roman Empire. I believe the reason why men think so heavily of the Roman Empire is it's a warrior's culture.
Okay.
In true doctrine, they were a warring culture. B, 2, I'm going to bounce between numbers and letters. It's going to tiz me, some of you guys. Just deal with it. 2, it is one of the earliest republic forms. So, earliest forms of governance that was not truly dictatorial at first and through various points. It was not governed by a king. Yes, it wound up being governed by an emperor eventually. It wound up being governed by Caesar eventually. The Senate was a puppet. But at first, and various points throughout, it was a Senate.
Right.
It was the only ancient... Not only. I'm not going to say only because I'm sure there's some random example out there. But it was one of the only... It was the only massive superpower of its time that was governed by a Senate and chosen from the people.
Right.
And it was a concept that lasted 1,000 years because people believed in it, and it was something greater than. Yeah, you've got the Babylonian Empire, the Byzantine Empire, you've got Greater Europe with kings and queens, and you've got Dark Ages, and you've got all these other things. But Rome was the edifice of mankind, the staple, the far-reaching from the Mediterranean to East Africa to what we know as modern-day England to... it was the world. Rome was the world.
The known world at the time, especially. It even crept over there into Persia.
Yeah.
And that's like India.
Yeah. Look at human history. There's no facet of human history that you can't tie back to Rome. I think that's why Rome is so prevalent in our thoughts, especially as men. Because there is no... Even to modern day, there is no facet of human history post-Rome's inception that you cannot tie back to Rome.
Well, and
even slightly before Rome, with the founding of Rome.
Yeah, look at the influence it has internationally. Look at the influence that came over with westward expansion and the founding fathers and the American Revolution and Constitution, get all of that stuff, right? And it's a connection from, 2,000 years ago, the time of Jesus' Nazareth,
Yep.
up and through, up into the Dark Ages and into today.
Yep.
I mean, that's the bridge that links those worlds together. Even then, if you think of the
Right.
Renaissance, that was a renewal of that Greek-Roman culture.
Go further. World War II, Nazis, and we're going to talk about Nazis. We're not talking about them positively. Nazis based a lot of their doctrine off of Roman doctrine. So, thousands of years later, we're talking about connections with Rome with a modern, at the time,
Right.
military and government.
Well, that's basically what Nazi Germany was out to do, was conquer the known world.
Right. They were
I mean, they were taking the lessons. I mean, and Hitler was a
Right.
smart dude. If you think he was dumb, that dude wasn't dumb. That took.
He wasn't dumb.
He was very,
and he was very charismatic,
very
and he
smart.
was a bit of a meth head. But that's neither here nor there.
He was nuts and a psychopath, but
What he did, though, and this is another...
which makes it even more scary.
Right. Well, another subject for another time, but briefly touching on it, he also surrounded himself with intelligent people.
Yeah.
And he networked. And not positively. Yet again, do not take this positively. It is just historical fact.
Yeah. It was an unfortunate
It was
reality.
an unfortunate reality that if
success.
he would not have been the monster he was and actually a positive individual, there would have been a way different outcome to the world.
Right.
But he was a monster.
Yeah.
But it also enabled his depravity and his
Yeah.
monstrous ways and just evil, pure evil.
Right.
Enabled America, the Allies, to rise
Right.
out of it and to show the world how a society should be.
Well, even you look in the Renaissance, for heck, we can
Yep.
get out of Europe. The golden age of Islam.
Oh, Islam only came to power because of the fall of Rome.
The origins of
Mm-hmm.
what we know as modern day algebra and stuff. It was all a rebringing
Mm-hmm.
of the Roman culture that once existed prior to all of it.
Correct. And how Rome took over a lot of Greek culture. I mean, early Rome sent a lot of their people to study in Greece because
Really?
Greeks were scholars.
yeah.
Greek was the home.
The Athenians.
Yep. Well, and Greece as a whole was the cradle of philosophy. Greece is the birthplace, and I could be wrong, double check this, but I'm pretty sure if I remember my history correctly, Greece was the birthplace of philosophy, birthplace of math, higher learning. And then Rome took it and ran with it because they were greater power.
Yeah.
Effectively, Rome killed Greece, as we know,
Right,
ancient
basically.
history-wise.
Well, and I think that's why, like, us as guys, when we reflect back on, the fall of Rome, and my dad always told me the quote, Rome wasn't built in a day.
No, it was not.
It took time to work, but boy, man, when that place was rolling, it was functioning like...
Well, and then you have fractured. There's so many facets of Rome throughout history that tie into so much. Early Rome, pinnacle Rome, the fall of Rome, even fractured Rome. You had Eastern and Western Empire, and then you had the Vatican, and then you have all this other. And Rome's still technically around.
Yeah, I was going to say... Well,
Rome never truly fell. The Vatican and Rome is still there.
That's one of the things that I always tell my students and friends. I'm like, did Rome actually fall, or did it just turn into the Roman Catholic Church?
And that's exactly what happened.
Is the Pope just is conclave and the whole process, how they select a Pope? Does that tie back to that Roman time? Is the Pope... I'm not saying they are.
But there's connection. There's tradition and history.
Is the Pope a modern day emperor?
Yeah, modern day Caesar.
A modern day Caesar? Not necessarily in the sense of the way the Caesars rule.
No, but look at Rome. It's a holy city.
Yeah.
It's ran by the church.
The Pope is extremely an influential person.
Yeah, and I would argue powerful.
Yeah,
its realm.
In its realm, yeah.
And with Catholicism, yeah, I would argue that Pope is the religious leader of the religious Caesar.
Yeah.
And not religious, the Catholic Caesar would be the best way.
Right.
But encompassing the world still. Farther reaching, Catholicism reaches farther now than Rome did in its heyday.
Yeah.
So did Rome really fall? Or did it change?
I think it just changed.
Its tendrils are everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
But it's one of the...
You go to Washington, D.C., and everywhere around you is nothing but Roman Greek architecture.
Yeah, Roman...
Everything is Roman Greek architecture.
Roman Greek, Greco-Roman, Gothic, Proto-Gothic, which is all Rome. Tie it in together. I mean, like you touched on it earlier, the rise of Islam is due to the fall of Rome.
Yeah.
as we know it. The only reason Islam became prevalent, regardless of what you think of Islam, and I'm not going to get into that right now. It's a whole different subject. It'll probably be piss some people off, but I'm not going to go there. The rise of Islam started with the rise of Islamic pirates. And the only reason Islamic pirates came to power was because Rome fell and couldn't protect the Mediterranean anymore. And what happened when Islamic pirates took over and had their free reign for as long as they did, it plunged Eastern Europe into the Dark Ages because there was no longer trade routes open.
Well, and I mean, the Ottomans had an amazing empire too.
Yeah.
The Ottomans had a damn good run.
Yeah.
You know, and another influential
Persian Empire.
Part of time where, you know, that was...
Persian and Ottoman are the same. Yeah, that's the same empire.
I think so.
The same empire.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, and even in that realm, did awesome things, got us to where they're at today. You know, obviously the Ottoman Empire fell.
Right.
But I think today when we sit there, it's like, you know, now we're here in the United States and the way we are in 2026, it's like, you know, I'm not going to say the United States is Rome, but...
No, but we're based heavily on it.
Based very heavily on it.
Well.
Super influential. You know, I think the cool thing about the rule of law and the way our Constitution and things are drafted up today, I mean, a lot of people think, you know, the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, you know, that's just a white person's document. No. That's not even the first form of Republican processes in North America.
No.
The 7 tribes of the Iroquois ran as their 7 different groups and would come together, you know.
And have a vote. And have,
and have a vote and representatives come. So the first form of representative democracy comes from the Native American history.
And that's just examples in North America.
That's just in North America.
That's not taking Magna Carta, which, yet again, heavily influenced document that wasn't from Rome, was from England, but... based heavily on Greek and Roman doctrine.
15.
Falls back to Greek and Roman. Do you know part of the Magna Carta? And sorry, getting not off topic, but part of the Magna Carta was actually based off of the Constitution of Sparta. I found that out recently.
Really?
A heavy influence for the Magna Carta in England, because Magna Carta is English, was from Spartan culture and also Athens, because they were separate cultures. A lot of Greek influence went in the Magna Carta, and therefore our founding fathers had a lot of influence from Greece because they were learned individuals who knew of those times and knew of those things. And we, as a country, also had a lot of those influences dragged from ancient Sparta, ancient Rome, and Greece.
Well, the Spartans were kind of brilliant, but the Spartans weren't for a one individualized king. In fact, there were 2 kings of Sparta.
Well, and Spartans were, I hate to say the term, and I don't mean it positively, communists.
Kind of in a way.
They really were. They were maybe not communists. They were socialists on their way to communists because no one owned anything.
Yeah, it was
the greater whole. It was what's the term that's getting pushed now? Collectivism.
They were. Well, and you got to remember the population of people back then was nowhere near the masses of what it is today. So a society for that to function like that, but it was for all of Sparta. That's what we fought for. That was our mother. That's what we're going to protect from when our kids are born, and every person in that realm has to function because we have a phalanx, damn it, and that phalanx is going to work, and it's going to kick the shit out of Persians. And,
there was no argument that they were the most extreme fighting force of its time.
Yeah, they just didn't have a navy.
They were the tier 1 assets. They had a crap navy that they had to borrow from Athens.
Turns out you got to have a navy.
And the Greeks, if the Greeks ever united, so here's an interesting thing I propose. I think that if the Greeks ever truly united under one banner, not temporarily to defeat the Persians, but permanently for the betterment of Greece, not individual city-states, because that's what it was. It was a bunch of city-states that were constantly warring each other and then always trying to undercut each other. Well, but if they would have united, I think they would have been as great as Rome.
Well, I guess they kind of united at Plataea.
But it was circumstantial. It was only against the Persians.
No, you're against the one that come to try and conquer. And, you know, and I think when you look at the Romans, they were tough. They protected home base, man.
Well, Rome as a whole, I think the reason Rome succeeded compared to where the Greeks failed.
Yeah.
And where even the Persians long-term failed, because Persian Empire wasn't. Rome, so SPQR. Have you ever heard of SPQR?
Maybe.
So it's the Roman eagle, and it was the military. It's what the military carried. It was their on the poles. It had the eagle, had the wreath, and it had SPQR, which is Senatus Populusque Romanus, which meant for Rome and her people. It was the original "We the People."
Right.
Everything, every doctrinal, everything from Rome's founding was about Rome and Rome's people and the citizenry. It wasn't about the individual.
Right.
They weren't collectivism. They were a republic, but it was always for a cause greater than themselves.
You know, and I think that's where you sit and you think. And one cool thing about movies, I can't wait to get that podcast going.
I know. I'm
the
so
one
excited.
cool thing about movies is it brings historical people back to life.
Yeah.
I had a great college.
It's a peek behind the curtain.
Yes, I had a great college professor, and he taught Greek history.
Yep.
And I loved his class. His last name was Sjogren. I didn't even think he might live here in Cheyenne.
Oh, there you go.
Great guy. Loved his class, and he said that to me once, and it really caught me. And I think about it, I was like, wow, movies that are well done really bring these characters back to life. And my favorite movie of all time is Gladiator.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, and I
Fantastic.
I always loved it right at the beginning, you know, when Russell Crowe's character mentions that, you know, Rome is the light and knowing this stuff there. And then the Caesar is kind of cautioning him on it. Like, you know, you've never been there. You've never seen it. You've always fought these wars for it and stuff.
You haven't been home.
Yeah, you haven't been home.
And he's a Spaniard anyway. He's not from Rome.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And there's a lot of cool glory in fighting for that Rome. And then, of course, things fall apart and all this stuff. But,
well, it shows the depravity of Rome.
Yeah, it does. And then exactly. And you sit there and then you look, and then when you come to the end of it, it's like, no, we're going to restore the power back into Rome like it was originally envisioned, you know, and, you know, this thing's going to push and move forward. But, you know, when we think of our world today and how we live, and the United States is the greatest country
ever,
absolutely ever. We live in a society that's built by laws, but laws created by man, not a king.
Real quick, when you say we live in a society, all I can think of is Joker. We live in a society. Anyway, sorry. Continue.
You know, and
we're not governed by a king. We're not governed by no.
It's laws that were created by people. You know, and the beautiful thing about our Constitution is it can be changed. And if there's certain laws out there that we don't think are mixing with how we live today, they can be changed. They can be challenged and interpreted in a court. You know, you can sit and complain about the law all you want, but at least we have the power to change that law.
Right. We're not a monarchy or a patriarchy like some people like to say.
Right.
You know, we're not a dictatorship. We are. We have, I feel, as America, we have lost the plot a little bit.
We've definitely lost the plot.
But I think the reason we've lost the plot is because of comfort. I believe things are so good in America, truly, because what other country do the poor have obesity rates?
Good point.
What poor here is not poor other places.
What?
Poor here is not third world poor.
No, and it's kind of one of those things like resting on your laurels.
Yeah,
that whole thing. It's like you know, and when I went to New Orleans a couple summers ago, went to the National World War II Museum. If you've never been there, you got to go see that place. Cool. That place is amazing. You could spend 3 days in there. I certainly could have. I spent 9 hours in there and didn't want to leave. And, you know, when you sit and look.
Put it on my bucket list now.
Normandy and D-Day. And every time that comes up, and I always play that for my students when I'm at work, and I sit there and it's like, these are 17, 18-year-old kids, 4 years older than you guys.
Right.
Rolling up.
Some of them lying about their age and we're 14.
Yes. And they're sitting there fighting for the greatest cause ever.
Yeah. It was a war against evil.
Yes.
True evil that everyone could get behind.
Absolutely. And we sit there and we think today we're so spoiled today. We lost that plot. Man, if we were to go back to 1942 United States right now.
With current population, we wouldn't.
Yeah, we wouldn't, and we're so far removed from that world, and we're so sneaking spoiled.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we take so many things for granted, and I'm like, your freedom is a great thing.
Yep.
It comes at the greatest cost in the world, and it comes at the greatest cost of lives.
Yep.
And I love that in Washington D.C., and I've been there too. Another fantastic place. Go to Capitol Hill. And
I can now officially say that I've done that.
Yeah,
it was really cool.
It's cool.
It was really cool. There was a weight to it.
Was it the Korean War?
Yeah, the Korean War. That is the coolest memorial.
The coolest thing ever. Freedom is not free.
No.
It comes at the
and so if you've never
ever.
been to the Korean War Memorial, the Vietnam War Memorial gets all the love. And don't get me wrong, the Vietnam Wall is cool.
It's fantastic.
It is awesome. But
go
to the Korean War Memorial at night. Specifically at night, it's I think it's like a two rifle squads worth of guys in solid bronze, I'm assuming, or something like that. Some sort of metal, but in stark contrast and detail, in a fanned out formation going through what's supposed to be a rice paddy.
Yep.
And at night, it is the coolest,
turn the
most
lights off and you see them
impactful,
sitting there
because
shining on
as
them
you
all.
walk past, you walk past them in their fanned out movement.
Yeah.
In a diamond pattern formation, how they did, and you just see rows of them and silhouettes backlit by the city light. It is the most.
You think it's someone walking at you when you walk up on it. Like, hey, someone's walking.
There are
like,
things that hit that hard.
Oh yeah,
and that hit hard. And I was like, this is the coolest thing. Like, I could have sat there for hours and just watched.
Oh yeah,
just looked at statues not moving.
And it's kind of the wild thing, and especially I think one thing that we've derived from the Romans in that ancient world was, we have laws. And when you break laws, that means that other laws that are put in place for a reason, well, if this law is more of a guideline,
Right.
we're not going to follow through on it. No, you have to follow through with the law, because the glue that holds that law together is the glue that holds every law in this country together.
If you look at the Constitution,
It's all
there is
one thing. It's not,
Right.
you violate this law here, well, you're putting all the other laws that are out there in jeopardy.
Yep.
And that's not right, and no one has the right to do that.
I think that the first 7, maybe 6 amendments are what core values and shall not be changed, cannot be changed for a functioning society, and a society that can move towards the future cannot be changed.
Well, and even when they come to the formation of the Bill of Rights, they had like 200 and narrowed it down to the 10.
Right.
And it's so interesting when you even think today and they're so awesome and they're so good. And I could see how people from other parts of the world that, man, I want to live in the United States.
So that's the interesting thing.
Absolutely.
If you look at the people who perceive injustice everywhere, which first off, well, I'll get into that in a minute. Most of the people you discuss America's value system with, traditional American value system with, who migrated here very technically legally, which yet again, we're not going to get into that, but who came to this country from a place that had no future, very few of them have negative things to say.
Very few.
Very few. Ratio and collectively, right? Most of them will tell you have no idea what it's like to live under what you're asking for. The push towards communism, talk to somebody who escaped communism.
Yeah, no
They
kidding.
will say you have no idea what you're asking
The
for.
form of government that just slayed more people than it governed.
Yeah. It's interesting. There has never been a government. So there's only one form of government that works. Well, I can't say that. No, that's not true. There are technically 2 forms of government that technically work through human history. Technically work. Here's the kicker. Republics, because it's pendulum swinging, it's to the people, and dictatorships, because you have no choice.
Right.
It's not positive, but it technically works.
Yeah.
Technically.
It survived.
Also, technically, you can eat as much cake as you want, and technically you'll die. But it's a good point, right?
Yeah.
Like, technicality is a thing. But 2 forms of government that work as a governmental entity are dictatorships and republics. The reason why communism never works, communism, I will freely admit this, to a communist, is beautiful in theory.
Oh, on paper, it sounds great.
Nobody owns anything.
No.
Everybody's taken care of.
There's no
Equal rights. There's no
poverty.
poverty. There's no
No.
nothing. It will never work because humans are involved.
Well, and
Never. The strong will always crush the weak. Always.
There's greed in our human nature, and greed eventually is going to overcome that.
Yep.
And I think, one, in an ever-growing population, there's not enough resources on planet
No.
Earth to make something like communism work. And
No.
in our developed modern world we live today, not a chance. Now, if we lived on a colony of 1,000 people on a remote island somewhere, yeah.
But
it might work.
remote island somewhere, pushing skills back 200 years.
Yeah.
Where people have to farm, where people have to.
Yes.
You don't have to nowadays.
No.
There are people who do that at mass production. The problem is those concepts at the time, not even at the time that communism was a subject, because communism is new to the world scene. Very technically.
Yeah.
Communism's new. The actual communist doctrine and socialist doctrine, not proto-communism like Sparta. As we said, they were pseudo-socialist,
Yeah.
pseudo-communist, whatever, but they were still part of the greater whole, and there was still citizenry, and there was a lot of different parts and pieces to it, right?
Right.
You could tie it to modern day and explain it through modern day terms, but it wasn't the same thing. Modern day communism, what we know of as communism since communism's inception, Marxism.
Yeah.
Everything based in Marxism, because socialism and communism are a path that leads from Marxism into Marxism.
I've read.
It's a new concept.
Yeah.
Within the last couple hundred years.
You know what's kind of crazy? The whole Karl Marx, and I read this in a
Don't get me started on Karl
fantastic book. Like, he used and manipulated everyone around him.
Absolutely.
He drained everything from his parents, from his wife. His children didn't even really acknowledge him.
No.
From what I've read,
Yep.
and what I put on, he sit and pulled and would pull from everyone. And I'm just like, boy, man, that guy had it completely wrong.
Yeah.
And I can see why he would champion full on pure nonsense like that.
Well, of course, because he was nothing. Karl Marx was a failure. I will say it. I'll fight anybody.
I will too.
Karl Marx was a failure, and he got a charismatic young man named John Lennon, or not John Lennon. Not John.
Lenin.
What the hell was Lennon's first name?
I can't. Vladimir.
Vladimir.
It could have been. I don't know. I'm
Maybe.
just guessing.
Lennon. John Lennon was also a communist, but way later. Different communist.
That was the Beatles. Well, he actually left the Beatles.
Left the Beatles and
Yoko ruined the Beatles.
pushed communism and then got shot in the chest because of it. But whatever. What was Lennon? Whatever. Lennon found a charismatic young student that he could corrupt and was easily corruptible because the dude was legitimately psychotic as well. Named Lennon, and he championed him and had him become his second. And I'm still not convinced Lennon didn't kill Karl Marx because there's some really good potential that he did.
And even
but
Lenin and those guys in the Bolshevik Revolution, they took advantage of desperate people in a desperate situation. It's exactly how Hitler came to power. He took advantage of desperate people in desperate situation.
We're going to get to this. Let's get the Treaty of Versailles. I'm down.
a lot of people think the Depression just happened in the United States. Boy, we go back to the Depression era. We'll talk what's fair and unfair.
We'll cover that.
Oh, absolutely we will. But you get in there and it's just like they took advantage of people in a desperate situation, people that were scared, people that were wanting to take care of their families, took it, spun it, perverted it, threw it out there, sold it, and by
Packaged
golly,
it, sold it, and sent it.
And sent it, and it won.
It's interesting. So
it didn't last very long, but
we're gonna put a pin in that. We're gonna put a pin in World War II when it comes to Nazi Germany. I want to talk about that. That's a talk that'll take an hour.
We'll save it.
We'll save that. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about World War II because it's one of my favorite parts in history.
It's fascinating.
Fascinating. But what I will say is this. If it weren't for communism, World War II never would have occurred because, I'm going to touch on it briefly, everybody forgets, and I wouldn't even say forgets, isn't taught. Soviets weren't the good guys. The only reason Soviets were even counted amongst the Allies was because Hitler betrayed them. You ever heard
there was a lesser of two evil?
Yeah, you ever heard of Warsaw? There was an agreement made between
the Warsaw Pact,
called the Warsaw Pact, between Russia and Nazi-controlled Germany, that they were going to hit Poland from both sides and meet in the middle and divide it up. And Germany backed out of the deal because they got there first. They got there faster because of the Blitzkrieg and meth, but legal meth. But because they got there. Oh no, the Pervitin. 100% a thing. That was what won them the war at the beginning. But long before that, Germany convinced Europe to build roads, connecting interstates. That's what won World War II. Not won for. That's what perpetrated the expansion of Germany. Was Germany learned really well how to convince people things for the betterment of them, and then expanded and then made deals with empires. It's funny. Hitler is known as a genocidal maniac, and he 100% was. That is objectively true. He was a monster. Nazi Party were monsters.
I tried.
Hermann Göring.
Himmler.
Heinrich Himmler. Who was, I think it's Heinrich Himmler. Who was his propaganda guy? Was Göring his propaganda? No.
I can't remember.
Anyway, rank, right? SS as a whole, monsters. Night of the Long Knives, Beer Hall pushed. A lot of history you guys got to read if you've never looked into it or if you don't remember. However, Nazi Germany's destruction of minority groups and Jews pales in comparison to Soviets' persecution of individuals as a whole. Soviets had their own slaughtering of Jewish culture post World War II. First, they were all friendly with them, but they had their own. They had their own genocides, multiples, during World War II, pre-World War II, and coming off of World War II.
Probably never hear about it because I got buried in history.
Starting with the Bolshevik rebellion and moving its way forward. You never hear about it though, because unlike they weren't the bad guy, they weren't the big bad. They were Eastern Bloc. They were their own. That was on them. Russians have such a storied past with genocide of their own people. Look at Serbia and Bosnia. Serbian-Bosnian rebellion. And that war and that genocide, people buried in shallow graves, murdered by the thousands, Muslims and Christians going at it, all these other things.
The whole
It was just an
Habsburg world.
extension of Russia's storied history of genociding its people. It is a land that communism absolutely destroyed.
Well, look at even during the Cold War. Look at Mao. I mean, how many Chinese people starved to death?
So the
during
interesting
Cold
thing
War?
is Russia's responsible for modern day China. Do you know that?
I mean, it would add up.
So during World War II, right before World War II,
Who bailed the Chinese out during World War II?
we did.
Oh, it was the United States. That's right.
Everybody, I like arguing World War II history with people because people say, you say, U.S. won World War II. No, they didn't. It was a conjoined effort. Really? Pretty sure we came in. Yeah, because the people will argue, you were only there for the last 5 years of the war. 1941 to 1945, right? Okay. And objectively, yes, we were only there from the first war. But when your best player gets put in and you automatically win, we won World War II.
Yeah. When Winston Churchill and the U.S. got involved, he probably was the happiest man on planet Earth.
Yep. And Winston Churchill, statesman, one of my favorite people through history. Absolutely. Love him. It's interesting. It's people. I have had this argument with people. We didn't win World War II. It was a conjoined effort. We were only there. I don't care if you fought for 40 years before we got there. When we got there, we won. We came in, swung our dicks around, got it, took over, and won, and then said deuces.
I saw Band of Brothers.
Yeah.
I've read the books.
Yeah, we won. If it weren't for us, Nazi Germany had a very high likelihood of winning.
There's a book out there, and it was "What If Nazi Germany Had Won."
Yeah,
I can't remember the name of it, and it's interesting, and I like those stories. The
possibilities.
The what ifs, the possibilities. What if Europeans, Spain, Portugal, France, England, if they hadn't expanded west when they did, and let's say they were a little bit behind in the, I don't want to say more civilized, but more technological advanced, East Asian communities would have eventually made it across the Pacific to North America.
Yep.
Japan definitely would have made it across.
I'll do you one better. Imagine what the landscape would have looked like if Japan would have remained in power.
Kidding.
Can you imagine?
And
Because
the Japanese were
ruthless.
mean.
Ruthless.
What they did to the Koreans and the Chinese people
Oh.
during their reign was
Long before World War II.
Horrible.
If you
Horrible.
want an interesting deep dive, I've started cursory looking into this. Japanese expansionism during the Bushido dynasties into Korea is fascinating.
I'll have to look into it.
Taking slaves and oh my lord, you wonder why Japanese through breeding history have actually gotten taller. Of the Japanese, Koreans are the tallest of the Asian cultures, physical attributes. Japanese at a certain point in time had a mass influx of progression of tall for the age. Has to do with taking of Korean slaves. It's very interesting. They were brutal against other Asian cultures.
They're extremely, and I think it's in our human nature, and look at across other cultures, England versus Scotland.
Oh yeah. England versus Ireland. England versus everybody.
Yes, precisely. And you sit and look at that, and the English were terrible to the Scottish people, and and it's. And then you see, so there were some conflicts in the past. We've grown.
Yep.
Obviously, Japan today is a
shadow of what it was.
Yeah, a very significant ally to the United States.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So what? 2014. So Japan, since World War II, has not been allowed to have anything past a defense military. They have not been able to build anything above a destroyer class, if I remember correctly. They have not been allowed to have anything above basic fighters for air power. They have not been allowed by us. It was our doctrine. We're the ones who said no, because Japan really was only a threat to China and us.
Yes.
Really didn't touch the East other than the Philippines. Or not the East. Didn't touch any of the other Western powers other than the Philippines. And there were some English involvement, but not a lot, because Philippines were an English territory at one point, and then they became our territory, a whole bunch of things, right? But pretty much the Pacific side of World War II was wholly our war. Truly just America's war and China.
It's kind of funny, always got me about World War II. When Pearl Harbor got attacked, the U.S. was open to be attacked by anyone. People don't know that history. A lot of people don't. Some people do. The U.S. was so vulnerable after Pearl Harbor. Anyone could have attacked the United States at any moment, at any time.
There was if I remember correctly, there was a penned plan. So
we were just coming out of the Depression too. Everyone was broke and poor as shit. And
it was our Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
World War II is the reason why we have the military-industrial complex and became the world power we are. And unfortunately, we never backed away from that.
Right.
Or fortunately, depending how you look at it. But World War II was a turning point for the United States. We learned a lot, and we are on the cutting edge of military might because of World War II. We have said that will never happen again in that capacity. And we have always been the forefront of a fighting force. One of the reasons America is so great, especially its military, we have proven it time and again, and this, starting off this year with what has happened in Venezuela, was very interesting. Morally aside, I don't necessarily know if I agree or disagree at the moment. I'm watching. Take moral out of it. Purely objectively for military power, and purely objectively for military operation, that was masterclass.
Oh, yeah.
35 minutes.
They did their homework.
35 minutes from helicopter entry to boots on ground to extrication. 35 minutes flat. And then bombing communist Hugo Chavez's grave on the way out just because we can. I mean, you don't get more of a just lay it on the table.
Right. Well, and I think, and we kind of hit on here, Rome, fantastic civilization, very powerful.
At times. At times.
There was times it wasn't always perfect.
No.
There are times.
Look at Nero. Emperor Nero, famous for fiddling, fiddler on the roof. Or playing a fiddle on the roof. Playing a fiddle in... Holy hell, I'm confusing things. Playing a fiddle as Rome burned.
Yeah.
Right? Which objectively, potentially probably never happened. It could be greatly exasperated. But the flavor's still there. He did nothing while Rome burned.
Right. Well, and I think, is the United States perfect? No. It's not. Do we have our struggles? Yes. But the beautiful thing about it is we have a process and a plan in place how to get better.
Yep.
How to grow. That comes with dialogue. It comes with compromise. It comes with understanding. It comes with the creation of new laws, because the Constitution is a living document that can be changed, is what makes it such a wonderful document. And when we have that power, sometimes laws get outdated and old.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to update them. And there's a couple things. We can sit and cry about it and point fingers and blame, or we can come together. Dialogue, as our Constitution is framed our federal government to do, solve problems, find solutions. If you think there's an issue with our immigration policy, then we fix it. And how do we fix it? We fix it through coming to the table and dialogue and talking. We don't try and sneak around the system and try and do this and play this card and point fingers and try and go underneath the law and sneak through things. We find solutions.
Yeah, legally
we find solutions, and when we create new laws and
through
we interpret new laws and through ratification, we solve those issues.
Absolutely.
We don't do it with pointing fingers. We don't do it with getting angry. We see there's an issue. We talk about it. Are we going to get the whole piece of the pie? No, that's not reality. No. Are you going to get a portion of the pie? Yeah, you are.
There's going to be give and take.
There's
always give and take.
There has to be give and take. You don't even think in Gandhi, and I'm a Gandhi guy, and I've said this on this show before.
You're a little Eastern culture for me. I get it.
You betcha. I think, Gandhi got in trouble for breaking the law. Yep, I broke the law. I know I broke the law. I understand I broke the law. Arrest me.
Yeah.
I broke the law. I'm literally begging you. I broke the law. Arrest me. And every time he did that, he gained support and power because he was wrongfully imprisoned. Okay.
Well, he essentially martyred without martyr.
Yeah.
Martyrdom without martyr.
He admitted, no, I broke the law, and I'm going to pay the consequence for breaking law, because Gandhi believed in laws.
Yeah.
He believed in just laws.
See, that's the thing. It's anarchy.
He believed in just laws.
Right.
But he knew that the rule of law is important. And the significance behind it. And that's how Gandhi gained momentum and powers. Every time they arrested him and threw him in jail, he gained more momentum. He wasn't burning houses. No. He wasn't screaming and yelling at people. No. That's not how Gandhi operated and ran. He found a way and knew it and worked with it. He did it peacefully. He did it walking 250 miles and sandals to prove it. Yep. That's how he gained power, and that's what makes him such an awesome human being. I'm always going to be a Gandhi fan. Go back
to Christ's time. Mm-hmm. Jesus was persecuted and didn't stand up against it.
No, not at all.
And he wasn't a lawbreaker. I want everybody to get something. No. He was not a lawbreaker. He did not break any laws. He was persecuted because of Jews and Gentiles, demanding that the Roman governor, Pontius Pilate, step in as an arbitrator.
Yeah.
And persecute him on their behalf.
He was brought by the Jewish high priest to do it.
Mm-hmm. They convicted him. He did not break any Roman laws.
No.
Christ did not break any Roman laws.
They were even sitting there, and they were, you can even read multiple accounts in the Bible. You probably even go back and find Roman outside of it and find Roman records of it. And it's like, I see no fault in this man. He's done nothing wrong.
Yeah, and that's why Pontius Pilate washed his hands
clean of it and said,
Rome still carried out the execution, but it was on the behest of the Jewish people and the high priests
of the time. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important that we definitely recognize that the time, because times have changed obviously since then.
But my point is still the same. Of the time, the high priests and the leaders of that community of the time persecuted. They were the ones actually demanding the blood. Rome carried it out, and Rome was an instrument.
Yes.
And Rome was whether you're a Christian or not, no one can argue that the birth, life, and subsequent death of Christ is a poignant keystone, center point in humanity.
Well,
in humanity's history.
And it's definitely that cornerstone we base our years off of it.
Right.
Even today.
Auto Domini and BC.
And even today, you get more, we call it the woke world or this other world coming saying, no, it's BCE and CE.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny going back to that same Greek that had. He said, "Whatever you call it, it still revolves around the birth and death
It
of
still
Jesus."
revolves around that point.
Yeah.
In history is
Yes.
the birth and death of Jesus. That time frame
Yes.
is still a human history, not American history, not Jewish history, human history moment
Human history.
that Rome was directly in the middle of. Another quick topic on that note that I just want to point out there because it gets argued all the time. Jesus wasn't an immigrant like people like to say, because that's a big thing people are pushing now. Is Jesus was immigrant too. No, they weren't. They fled Jerusalem.
He was born in Judea.
He was born in Judea, but he was under Roman power and moved to another Roman city-state. Where they fled to?
Egypt, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And guess
Sinai,
what?
Egypt.
They went out of King Herod's kingdom, or King Herod's kingdom, but it was still Roman controlled. Because Roman, you could move freely between because it was controlled by Rome. It'd be like if I fled here and moved to the East Coast. I can travel to that and move there freely and become that's what they did. They weren't immigrants. They weren't illegal immigrants. They moved legally through the countries.
Yeah, exactly.
Just want to cover that real quick.
It's kind of funny, and it was more of a homecoming.
Right.
I think is the way that it's properly and doctrinally viewed. And even when we get back, I mean, boy, Rome was in control of everything. They were a great power.
They were the great superpower.
They were
arguably there has never been anything greater than Rome.
No, and I think
potentially Alexander the Great, potentially, but I don't even think he comes close.
Well, and I even think when you look at Rome and we compare it to things today, it's like we live in the U.S.
Yep.
This is kind of our kingdom and our world. We want to see it succeed.
Yep. But
we eventually did know with the fall of Rome, if it actually fell, right? That's open to interpretation. But with the Roman Empire, we kind of view ourselves, and you always want to be cautious,
right?
And I think as us as men, and people in humanity, we dwell on the fall of Rome as we learn lessons from the past.
Yes.
That's the beautiful thing.
Those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it.
They're definitely doomed to repeat it. And, we learn from those issues, and we've grown from them. And we see that today, and we don't want the United States to fall.
No.
There's a lot of people out there that would love to see the United States fall.
Well, there's a lot of people who speak that.
There are a lot of people
words have power. This as well as I do.
Yes, they do.
And negative outlook of America's going to fall. We even see it. I even see it from people I agree with.
Yeah.
Oh, America's on the verge of falling, man. Destitute and not looking forward to it.
Yeah.
But speaking it, here's the interesting thing about America. There has never in the world's history been a country like us. The closest it's ever been has been countries empires. There's never been not only a country but an empire as close like us in history. The closest thing that has ever come to has been England, which we were heavily based off of, and Rome.
Yeah.
But even then, there has never been a country in the world's history like America. So there is no facsimile. There is no way to look through history and say we're on this path. America will fail because X, Y, and Z. Because we are a test bed. There's never been anything like us.
It's kind of funny. Earlier we mentioned how the first form of republic practices in North America were the Iroquois.
Yep.
I would like to do some more research on that.
Yeah.
I would need to read
some more.
I need to read some more books on the 7 tribes of the Iroquois.
Yep.
And how that came to be, because that is absolutely fascinating.
Oh yeah, another
and amazing stuff.
Touching on Native American doctrine, doctrinal from that time period. There's another one I find. There's so many different entities trying to tear down the foundations of America. Native Americans are another group that are actively, perceptually, banging proverbial war drums and trying to say America's evil, America's this, America's that. You're the great white conquerors, right? You're the great colonizers. And yeah, there's a kernel of that is absolutely true.
Well, and I also think, and I think over time, in the story, we're going back to World War II, the Windtalkers, or was that Vietnam?
No, that's World War II.
Was it
Pacific?
World War II?
Yep. They served in the Pacific.
Was that where the Windtalker story came from? And even now,
so it's because it was dialect. It's called dialect. It was super guttural.
Right.
Japanese couldn't interpret it.
Right.
But because because they actually Japanese have a lot of Pacific influence. Well, Navajo, Arizona's just one state over from the coast,
Right.
so there's a lot of familial traits. They look a lot like
Right.
traditional Japanese, and especially like East Island or Pacific Islanders and stuff. That whole area for natives, they don't all look alike, but they look very similar. So a lot of them were mistaken as Japanese at times.
Right.
But the Windtalkers, there was no Japanese could not infiltrate dialect. They couldn't learn it. It's not like English or
Right.
Spanish or that they could pick a foreign power and learn from. You had to be Navajo.
Right.
The only way to that's one of the reasons they had the kill order on the Windtalkers. Any Windtalker that got kidnapped was ordered to be murdered
Right.
and killed because they could not allow them to break code, and they never did.
One is always, in CFD, they have the
Indian Village.
the Indian Village,
dig that place. That place is so cool.
Which they got their newly refurbished one.
I know.
coming
I'm
here.
excited for it.
It'll be neat. When you see they do their little ceremony, and the one gal gets on there, and what's one of the things was those that protect the country in the area, and there's been so many Native American vets out
Yeah,
there.
absolutely.
Absolutely, and I think it's such fascinating stuff. And then what we got here today, history is not pretty.
No.
World history
that's where I was going.
is
Yep.
very violent. It's very
Change is violent.
yes
By the nature of change,
yes.
it's violent.
It's extremely violent and a lot of unfortunate realities. But how do you grow and learn from, come above from it? And we're going to need to pull in like the immigration piece.
Yep.
It's like, and someone say, "Oh, the United States all is built on a nation of immigrants."
Yes, very technically true.
Yes.
Technically
Was
true.
it easy? No.
No.
Gangs in New York.
Yep. Another fantastic
The
movie.
Five Quarters, boy, those European guys were
The Five Boroughs, man.
They
Yeah.
hated each other. So
that wasn't
there's,
even- and that
there's a
wasn't-
lot of struggle
Oh, yeah.
that came from that. If you know anything about history, you just can't tout that and say it's a history of immigrants. But the cool thing is, we have proper channels to enter this country.
Yes.
We have proper means and ways. Now, by the changing of laws and use of our Constitution that are found.
So maybe those ways need to be ratified to make them a little easier,
when you ratify those,
or a little less expensive, or whatever it is, right?
Short amount of
I'm all
time,
for that.
less expensive. But it's we're a rule of, we want to follow the law, and a rule of law says this, and here's the laws. If you enter the country, you're here illegally.
That is a crime.
That is a crime.
Yep.
If you come here legally,
Yep.
maybe they need to create a new law where you can sponsor people
Maybe there is
to get their citizenship.
and there is sponsorship. I know there is sponsorship
Is
out there
there?
through visas and things like that. But maybe the entire immigration system as a whole need to be looked at. But that is a lot different of a conversation than, hey, open borders. Whoever wants to come, comes.
Then just come and jump
Yeah.
in. There's security issues with that.
Massive, especially in this day and age.
Especially in this day and age. And if 9/11 taught us anything, that is probably should have been the biggest lesson.
100%
from that.
100%. And that's the problem, is that there's so many extremes, right? It's the extreme of, well, I don't want any immigrants coming, and yeah, I'm saying it in a certain accent. I don't want any of the immigrants coming to my country. And then there's the other extreme of, I want everybody in, and diversity is inclusion, and diversity makes everything
Gotta have
better.
it all.
Both those are objectively false.
Yes.
Both those statements, both those stances are objectively false. Now, I am for small government. I am for non-illegal immigration. Personally, I am for these things. But I am okay having the conversations of maybe we need to look and ratify some stuff properly. Look at it objectively, not subjectively. Look at it without there's people dying in the streets and this, that, the other. Okay, first off, America's not big enough to save the world.
No.
We're not.
No.
And
Impossible.
we need to stop acting like it.
Yes.
Because we have been the world's police and the world's savior for so long that we have forgotten who we are.
Yeah. And we're over here in the Western Hemisphere, it's like, maybe we need to take care of things here in our own hemisphere.
Right.
And let those take care of the other hemispheres, take care of it.
Right. It gets to a certain point where there's only so much of us to go around. And ultimately, things halfway around the world, technically, yes, because the world's so connected, do affect us, but not on this land, not on this continent.
No.
Very few of those issues infect us at all.
Right.
Truly.
Right.
Impact us at all.
Well, and I think,
But it's perception.
yes. Yeah.
And it's perceived injustices. I'm of the theory, and this is my theory and thought, and I think I've said it before on this podcast, but I maybe I haven't. And if I haven't, and if I'm repeating myself, deal with it. If not, well, you're going to hear something new from me. I believe as a country, the reason we are facing the issues we are facing of division is because I've already touched on a little bit. We have had too good of times in this country. There is no true nationwide. There's individual struggle and strife, right? And hard is hard. But there is no true nationwide struggle and strife like a Depression era level event. We've not had that in many, many generations. Times are good. Times are some of the best they've ever been.
And that's when you probably need to be most on your guard.
We as a people are naturally not only warring, but always looking to fix things. America as a whole is a country of fixers. It was founded by fixers, people who saw something wrong and fix it. Mm-hmm. And we have not had a righteous enemy and a righteous thing to fix in generations. Yeah. We truly haven't. Mm-hmm. So we have found things. And that's where I think a lot of this perceived injustice comes from. A lot of this division comes from, well, I don't really have anything to do other than sit here and live the good life. I need some strife. So what can I find that will piss me off?
I'm bored.
And it's boredom. It's boredom.
I'm bored. And what can
look
I do
at it? Look. Do you know collectively? I found the statistic the other day, and it might be true, it might not be, but I tend to believe it. I think collectively we've had anywhere from, I've seen two different versions of it, anywhere from 18 to 22 years collectively of not having war in this country. Collectively. In 250 years this year, we have had collectively 18 to 22 roughly years of not having a war, not being war fighters. In 250 years, let's give it an average of 20. Let's just say 20 to average it out. 20 years of not having fights. Mm-hmm. We're a warring culture.
Indeed.
Guess who else was a warring culture? Rome.
The Romans.
They conquered everybody.
They did.
They didn't find a people they didn't try to conquer.
No.
From Gaelic to Egypt to, Caesar took Cleopatra. they had illegitimate children as far as they're concerned.
Right.
Like Rome took.
Right.
America influences and fights.
Right.
We are a warring people. No country, no people in history, from cavemen to the Native Americans, to us as America, to Europe as a whole, individual countries as a whole, to the Middle East, to China, no country has clean hands.
No.
History in any country is violent. There are blows.
There's blood everywhere.
There's blood everywhere because it is human nature. Mm-hmm. It is human nature. It is expansionist nature. Humans expand. We conquer. It is part of who we are as beings. The scary part is denying it.
Yeah.
Denying it winds up leading to more bloodshed than accepting it and learning how to control it.
Exactly. Learning from those lessons from the past.
We are violent, vile creatures who will, at a drop of a hat, there's modern examples here in this country. Look at Katrina. Hurricane Katrina. Within 24 hours of not having electricity, running water, and food shortages, people were proverbially, not literally, maybe literally, I don't know, eating each other.
Those poor people there when Katrina happened, they're still recovering from Katrina all these years later, and you sit and think of certain things going on in the U.S. and there's a documentary out there, I can't remember what it's on, they did a fantastic job with it, and those people were absolutely right, We're in the United States, where's our help, where's this coming from? And it's like, we're so worried about what's going on in other parts of the world
that we don't look in.
Saving these people to come in here and doing this. We got people right here in the United States that need those assistances in those programs, and that's what governments are said to do. Read the Federalist Papers; it'll say this
Federalist Papers.
We go back.
I read them once. I need to reread them, but I love the Federalist Papers.
We go back to John Locke and we look at all the philosophy, and it says government is there to protect the people, to keep them safe, to give them the opportunities to live their life how they seem fit on their free will, within the law, of course, right? And I think the cool thing is the way the genius of the Constitution is so set up is it gave us the tools to do it.
Yes.
Is there a purpose for collecting taxes? Yes, of course there's. No one wants to pay big loads of taxes, but if we see those taxpayers' dollars going to help relieve things when Katrina's happened, going to help those inner city public schools that are failing and that are falling apart and outdated, those are the types of things where people see their taxpayers' dollars going to those
and
things.
Actually impacting their local areas.
Impacting those local areas, whether they're rural or urban.
Yep.
That's what those things are there for.
It's a lot easier to accept the government taking part of, and don't get me wrong, I'm not about taxes, but it's a lot easier to accept the government taking part of your income when you are benefiting from it.
Yes.
Or at least your neighbors are benefiting from it.
When people are stealing from it, we got problems.
Yeah. And it's when you can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that there is more output outside of this country and into private pockets that don't need it perceptually, then there is input, we're at an impasse. If you're demanding 30 to 35% of my income that I work my ass off for to help people that I will never meet and do not know and potentially don't even require help, or for government programs that lead to nothing. There was literally, and this is documented, this is not speculation, there was literally, I believe it was a $6 million grant given to a university to run a study on the effects of cocaine on hamsters. That was a government subsidized study for the effects of cocaine on hamsters. What did that do?
We're so worried. And don't get me wrong. I'm a fan of looking up at the heavens and the stars, and we live in an area where we can gaze upon the heavens and do all that stuff. I don't care what's going on light years away from here. I care about, and I'm not saying that NASA needs to go away, but sure, get out there, do explore and stuff. But there's all that money that seems to just get wasted and thrown out there. And it's like, boy, how come we don't plug those in to help our inner city?
And that's just
schools?
one point.
How come we aren't putting that money out there for public works that are going out there helping people that are down on their luck?
That is one point in a sea of government overreach and misspending and governmental funds abuse.
But we got Planet C6729 whatever
that we will never see.
That's thousands of light years away.
Millions. We will never reach. We will in 10 lifetimes.
Yeah.
We'll never colonize.
But we're going to blow billions of dollars on doing it.
Right. It's not something that potentially could impact us. It's not something that potentially could end us. But we're going to waste billions of dollars to look at something cool. Yeah.
Got to wrap up?
Yep, we got to wrap up. So, to sum up, I believe that the reason, I think that the reason that men, especially men, but people as a whole, but especially men, think so often about Rome is because we're still tied to it.
Very much so.
People look at the downfall of Rome, and Rome started downfalling when over rampant politics, or politics ran rampant, I should say. Mm-hmm. It stopped being about the people. It started being about the individual. And who could get the most.
Or smaller groups. We create factions from it.
We created factions from it. We started, Rome started dividing. Rome started pointing fingers at each other. There was the separation between the Eastern and Roman empires. Constantine rising, which Constantine was one of my favorite emperors. One of my favorite Caesars. When they split. Him and his 3 brothers, I think. But there is... We are so tied into world history that nobody... If you ask the average American, do we have anything to do with Rome? Probably most of them would say no. Rome's an ancient culture.
Been gone for 2,000 years.
Been gone for 2,000 years, and it's over there in the Mediterranean area. No. We're tied to it.
We're living it.
We're tied to it, and we're trying not to make the same mistakes.
Yes.
Or, well, I should say, we're barreling towards making the same mistakes, but if we can right it and shift it, learn from those mistakes and move away from it. Students of history will always progress towards the future, where those who turn away from it will always regress to the past.
Right.
You can quote that. That's my quote. You can quote that. So, guys, thank you very much on this journey with us today. Final things, dad advice?
Dad advice? I'm going to leave it to the dad.
All right. Fatherly wisdom, as we call it on our channel. Learn history. Teach your kids history.
Yes.
Teach your kids dangerous history.
Learn from it.
Read a book. Buy a book that could get you in trouble. And what I mean by that, buy a book that you have to defend why you have it.
Yeah.
All knowledge is power. And ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is mankind's downfall. Learn something you don't know about history. Pick a subject, pick something interesting that interests you, but that you have no idea about, and learn about it.
That's great.
Whether that's a different empire, whether that's a different individual in history, the rise and fall of something, positive history, negative history. Learn something you haven't learned.
View
And
something.
teach your children.
Look at something from another perspective that's not
Yep.
necessarily yours.
Yeah.
That's power, right?
Even
there.
if something
That's
you learn
power.
and read pisses you off,
Yes.
still learn it.
Still learn it. Still know it.
Yep.
That's great
And
stuff.
teach your kids.
Yep.
Teach your kids those things, because they won't learn them in school.
Nope.
They will not.
Nope.
So anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching today. Thank you for joining us. Like, comment, subscribe, all the things. Tell us what you thought about this episode. Was it a
Absolutely.
win? Was it a loss? What can we do better moving forward? Like I said, we got a lot of good stuff coming. We're going to be working to get a lot better. And moving forward from there. If
Okay.
anybody has any ideas, drop them in those comments. We appreciate everybody. And as always, guys,
26 is going to be a good year.
26 is going to be a great year. This is
Yeah.
our year.
Yep.
So, guys, as always, thank you very much.
Yep.
We love you. Appreciate you for joining us. Have a good day.